All right, so you're going to start out with a circle, and I'm going to have him sitting at his little desk. So he's probably going to be facing this way. All right, and then you're going to draw one line right through the middle of his face, and that's standard animation 101. When you add guidelines to the character's face so that you can help set yourself up in just a few seconds to add the features in the right place. So this right here is where his nose will be. So we're going to add the little hump over the top of the muzzle right there. This is a cat talk show host, if anyone just joined. There we go. Here's his little nose. And the one thing I like to do is kind of outline the side of his face, which is right here. And that'll help you figure out where to add the eyebrow in just a second. All right, and then you add the bridge of the nose. Great. Also, I didn't mention this earlier either, but I am the political cartoonist for the Lincoln Project. I'm very, very, very happy to be there. It's extremely cool and unusual that they welcome someone as a contractor to draw cartoons for them. I'm extremely excited about that. So yeah, he has big, fluffy cat cheeks. So we're adding that on either side. I'm not going to narrate everything, because I have a feeling that you're going to enjoy non-drawing commentary probably more accessible. So one eyebrow here. So Glenn Keane, one of the greatest Disney animators ever, has a couple techniques that he uses. He animated the Beast. He animated Ariel. He knows his stuff. He has a couple tips. One of them is if you're trying to make an expressive character, you should always draw the pupil. If you're trying to show an eye that's expressive, you should always put the pupil on the edge of the eye, like slightly coming off of the eye. So that's trick number one from Glenn Keane. But another one is, and this is also standard cartooning lingo, thicker eyebrows mean an more expressive cartoon character. So that's just a fact. And then, so we have kind of bushier eyebrows here. Byron Howard, one of the current directors and creative people at Disney, he helped design the characters in Zootopia. And he has a technique for creating cuter animal characters where you want a lot of shapes to be curved trapezoids or triangles, depending on the shape. So, or gumdrops. He likes to call them gumdrops. So, like, his face is a little more zany compared to like Nick Wilde's face. Actually, I have a Nick Wilde figurine. Here he is. You can see his face. Anyway, that's an animator's figurine. But one way to create a cute character is to design their face kind of like a trapezoid. So that's what this is. We're kind of doing that here. And you come off the top of the trapezoid. See the trapezoid? It's like that. Okay. So now we're going to add his ear. And this is another Byron Howard trick. You want the ear to generally start from the cheek, the base of the cheek up, because that's how it would anatomically appear on an actual cat. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Remember that this is a 3/4 view, so he's looking this way, and the circle is slightly leaning this way. So we're not going to see the ears perfectly at the same angle. We're going to see one of them slightly tilted away from us. Do I want to be an animator? Not necessarily as a career. I would love to be an animation director. I have a couple job prospects I hope to enter at some point. I would love to potentially be involved with filmmaking. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, political cartoonist is something I currently am, so that's fun. Yeah, so we have the ears facing away. One way you can give him a little character is if you add some texture to the ears. So if you kind of have it bending a little bit at the top, that way it's not just a boring triangle. Instead, it has a little bit of character. More character, we're going to give him kind of sassy eyelashes, eyelids. So you're going to want to add that you're going to want to add that eyelash, whatever. Kind of is generally the same thing for our purposes. About 3/4 of the way down his eye. And you're going to want him looking directly at the viewer. So a lot of beginner artists will say you have two eyes. If they're trying to get them to look at the viewer, they'll either do right in the center, which is creepy, or they'll add one pupil right here, and that doesn't really look realistic. So what you want to do is have them basically both in the center, both the pupils in the center, but one of the pupils is just going to be a little bit further to the bridge of the nose than this one is. So that's what we're going to do there. All right. And now we have kind of the small muzzle. And one general rule for cute cartoon characters is that you want as much contrast in the face as possible. You want as many small things contrasting with big things. And usually for fluffy animals, that's like chunky, fluffy animals. You usually want smaller features against a fluffier face. So that's the general rule that we're following here. So probably should have added the little circle there at the beginning. But yeah. And I teach some character design classes I used to have a home studio before the pandemic during the summers, but I've taught some character design courses for public libraries in the last couple months. And one of the big tenets of that design course is that circles in a cartoon character indicate that a character is supposed to be cuter. The standard construction of a cuter character tends to be based on circles and contrast. Contrast is generally a good concept to apply to all kinds of characters, but with cuter characters, kind of smaller features in a bigger physical space is generally superior. So we're going to add the smaller muzzle right in the middle here, and it's good to have an eraser nearby. And then kind of the mouth open this way. It's almost like a triangle, but with a little part at the end there. And then you can add two tiny little teeth. Oh, nice. That's a great question. I don't think you necessarily need to have inherent talent. I'm of the school of, I guess, hard work tends to be the most effective way to generate a skill. Also, thank you, the person who just commented there, for hanging around through the technical difficulty. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think that with enough hard work and enough resources and enough people supporting you, anything is possible. I'm kind of that belief, but yeah. I'm sure you're not terrible. I'm sure you're excellent. All right, so one thing we're going to add on top there, and it's important to only wait, if your character has like an accessory on top of their face, it's really important to wait until after they're actually, like, the anatomy of the face is done before you add it on top. You got to add the glasses after you've done everything else, because the glasses will distract you or go on top of the glasses will distract you from drawing the actual anatomy underneath and muddle you up, so you don't want that. All right, there's that. Okay, now you're going to add him sitting at his desk, and this will get a little more complicated, but the trick is you want him to look like he's actually sitting in space. And how are you going to do that? You're going to emphasize gravity and weight. So if this is the table, and I did have to purposefully place the table. Usually cuter animal characters will really rely on proportions. So he's kind of a cuter character. So his face is huge. His head is huge, especially in comparison to his body. So I am thinking about his kind of torso as a circle that's about 3/4 the size of his head. So I had to place that table very carefully. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you think so. Trying my best. Okay, so now we're going to add his arm in, and again, I'm going to hold the Nick Wilde thing under the camera. So one thing you might notice here, there we go. One thing you might notice is he has no shoulder mass. He has like little arms on the side, and see how it goes? His shoulder kind of goes up there, and then from the front, there's no horizontal. It's just kind of there. So we're going to kind of emulate that here. He's got the little point here, doesn't really jut out a little bit, almost juts in. The shoulder, and then it goes in. And then we're going to emphasize the compression here. What is compression? Compression is you have something pushing up against something else, and it bunches up. Kind of like if you were sitting, if a cat, a normal non-biped cat, were sitting down, you would have a haunch that kind of looks like this, where it gets kind of thicker at the bottom. Kind of like that. Woo, tail. So we're doing that, but with his arm. I am foreshortening the arm because we're going to be viewing it slightly from the front. And that's a fabric fold right there. I'm going to emphasize that compression there. Okay. And that's his little undershirt, or the, I guess, shirt, not his undershirt, the shirt under his suit jacket. I was a big Geronimo Stilton fan growing up, still am, I guess, but I learned a lot of the how to draw animals in suits thing from there. But yeah. And then another thing, we're going to have his little hand kind of bunched up here on the desk, kind of like if you have your knuckle, kind of like this. And those are his fingers. I'm also a huge Garfield person, so a lot of this came from there as well. I'm also going to take an eraser and erase that just a little bit. All right. Okay. Another thing that's important on this side is to realize that this lapel is jutting out just a little bit. It's not necessarily stuck to his jacket. So see how we left a little space there? And by adding the shoulder underneath that side of the lapel, we are giving everything, including the lapels, which you probably wouldn't think would be important, we're giving those weight and adding three-dimensionality. So we're going to do this. Remember, the whole time he has kind of short, kind of cat limbs. Also, this is an animation pencil. It came with my light pad. I actually am not super familiar with this brand, but it looks like a Raffine Art Sketch pencil, 4B. 4B is nice and kind of soft. It's a nice lead type. Softer. Okay. We're going to assume he's saying, we're going to the next segment. So we've got kind of a little pause thing here. Those are essentially Garfield's paws, by the way. Hey, you gotta have your influences. Alright. Color this one in just a little bit like I did a minute ago. 1 second. Like Matt, my computer said, do you want to enable dictation? No, not right now. No thanks. Okay. And because I'm honestly, I gotta be honest, still developing character traits for this guy, I'm gonna give him the checkered shirt thing purely because I have not come up with an alternative. Isn't ripped off John Oliver, so we're gonna keep that. Thank you, Al Declono. That's nice. Yeah. He's a cat. He doesn't work out very much. Just kind of sits there. I don't have a cat, but I missed the Georgetown Cat Cafe. It's sad. The one close to campus is closing. The one 3 streets away is open, but I like the immediate accessibility. Plus, that one's just kittens. The other one had adult cats. Okay. So now this is the adding last-minute tweak stage. I'm generally very happy with this. I'm just tightening up some contrast. So I guess I'll talk through this. What are the areas that are going to be most important for the sake of contrast? Let me adjust my phone a little bit. There we go. I wasn't drawing it at an angle, just my phone was at an angle. The areas of most important contrast are his eyes. So because you want the viewer usually to look at a character's eyes first, because the eyes are the soul of the person, so you want people to kind of look there first. And how do you get someone to look at a certain part of your drawing first? Contrast. So look at the dark pencil area there on top of the light white of his eyes, especially inside his pupil. See the little white dot there? That's awesome for contrast. So people are definitely looking probably at this eye first, because there's more black space in this pupil than there is that one. Also his nose, I might lighten that up a little bit because I don't want it competing with the eyes. Also, please keep your questions coming. That's really helpful for me to know if I'm doing my job and being here to answer any questions you all might have. If you like what you're seeing here, you can follow Alexandra Bowman Art on Instagram for a post every day. I don't like making promises, but I am somehow able to churn out one post every day. Today's post was advertising this show. Obviously, this is kind of a rough sketch, but it's looking kind of cool. I kind of like the rough animator sketch look that has happened here. All right. Awesome. And I'll probably add just a little microphone. I don't know why it's on this side. Maybe he's doing an aside to the audience like, the mic doesn't work. The mic sucks. So it's facing away from the mic to not let it in on that. I don't know. It's late. So there we go. There's this little mic. See how it can only take a few lines to indicate a shape? You don't have to think too hard. Especially if the thing that you're drawing is not the centerpiece. He's the centerpiece, the mic's kind of the extra. If it looks like this, you're not really distracting from the main event over here. Is this my favorite character? I have drawings of my other character nearby, so I'm assuming he's conscious and listening. No, he's not. The other one, his name is Martin, and he's a fox with, again, no backstory. Political cartoons take up a lot of time these days. But no, he's a fox who I think runs a bookstore. This guy runs a talk show. I'm assuming they live in different time periods. If you've read Kenny and the Dragon by Tony DiTerlizzi, that's like the greatest setting for a children's book about anthropomorphic animals that I've seen. They all live in kind of a slightly post-medieval village, and they're fighting a dragon who's actually nice. And the drawings in that by Tony DiTerlizzi are just beautiful. Big fan of that book. Okay, these are just finishing touches. But yeah, this is it. And I mean, I'm gonna probably, after 24 hours, I'm gonna try to share this clip on my platforms. So you can see it there. I'll probably put it in an IGTV clip on my Instagram. But there you go. There he is. His ears are a little bit long, but that's the general point. There he is. Fantastic. So that's, I'm going to say, you can't say and now this. What should you say? How about, that was a fun first show. No. Oh, whatever. And I swear, I'm going to come up with something. They're going to come after me with a lawsuit before long. So I do feel urgency. There he is. Okay. I'm telling you, he was based after John. He's not John. He used to be John, but he's not. There he is. Okay. Get rid of some of those extra lines. Okay, cool. Fantastic. And by the way, oh, of course. Thank you, producer. This is fine. Of course you should say this is fine. Silly me. This is fine. There he is. Okay. There we go. And if you've been drawing along, please, there he is. See, this is fine. We're dealing with the chaos. It's fine. If you were drawing along, please tag me on Instagram at Alexandra. I usually write my R's caps, so that was messing with me. R. Bowman. My goodness, I was looking at my camera. Can I spell my name? Art. Alexandra Bowman Art. There it is. If you were drawing along, please tag that account, and I will share you in my story. There we go. Awesome. And if you have a Twitter, I have more of a following on Twitter, so I will retweet you to the rest of the world. You can do @scripta_bene. I'll write that over here. It's Latin. When I was little, getting an email address, I was advised to make it something I won't have to regret later on. So this means well written in Latin. There he is.